In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to sell print-on-demand products on Etsy by using Printify. I'm going to cover niche research as well as how to do trademark checks, how to create a t-shirt design using Midjourney and Photoshop. I'm then going to walk you through how to upload your designs through Printify, and at the end, I'm going to give you some bonus tips to help you get more sales on Etsy. Now, when it comes to niche research, there's a few important things to note here. First of all, you want to try and find niches that have low competition and still a good amount of demand. You don't want to jump into some of the very obvious niches like maybe video gaming or nurses, which obviously do have a ton of demand, but they also have so much competition, meaning so many search results on Etsy, that it's just going to be very hard for you to get sales in that niche. Ideally, you want to find niches that have less than 2,000 search results and also have quite a bit of demand, and I'm going to show you how to identify demand in a minute here. Now, in case you're thinking 2,000 results is too much, I purposely checked some of my best selling niches on Etsy right now, and they are all around 2,000 or less results, so that's definitely a good number to aim for. Obviously, the lower the better. If you have a niche that has demand with only 200 results, then jump at it straight away. Those are going to be hard to find, but the closer you get to it, the better. Another thing that's very important to bear in mind here is that you want to try and find evergreen niches. In case you don't know what those are, they're usually related to hobbies, animals, or job titles, for example. And the good thing about evergreen niches is that they have potential to get sales all year round. If you jump onto a trend, maybe something politics related or something that's currently in the news, then oftentimes those trends might get you more sales in the short term, but the sales will sort of fizzle out very quickly, and then you'll have to try and find new niches again after a couple of weeks, which that's not what we want. We want to build up a passive income stream where we have designs that can sell today, in 2 months, in 2 years, far into the future, because people are always going to be interested in hobbies, in animals. Usually I do my niche research on Amazon, and oftentimes the niches you can find there also translate onto Etsy. Now, I do have a playlist of lots of niche research tutorials that show you different free and paid tools to help you find evergreen niches, but let's jump onto Etsy and do some research right on there. So here we are on the Etsy homepage, and the first thing you want to do if you're not from the US is click on this little flag symbol in the top right corner, and I'm guessing that most of you will want to sell to US customers unless you want to specifically target a different country, maybe a country you're from because you have some insight into specific niches. Then I would usually recommend changing the region right here to United States and the currency to the US dollar, just so you get more accurate results as to what's actually selling to US customers. To start off with your research, I would recommend just typing in a very, very broad niche at the top, because then if you scroll through the search results, you can find inspiration for sub niches that have lower competition. For example, if I type in dad shirt right here and hit enter, I personally sell a lot of t-shirts that are aimed at dads. This obviously is very competitive, so 627,000 search results. If you just put up a t-shirt that says dad, you're probably not going to do very well. But if we look through this, we'll find lots of ideas to niche down further. And a few things to mention: you will see a lot of listings that say ad by Etsy seller. Those are basically paid rankings. They're not organically ranked this high. You want to look for t-shirts that don't have the ad by seller sign right here, because that means them ranking really high organically and getting sales really well without even having to pay for ads. Another thing to note here is that sometimes you get these best seller badges. Those are a very good indication for sales, because if you click into this, it will tell you this item has had a high sales volume over the past 6 months. So those are definitely good to look out for because they indicate high demand. Another indication of high demand on Etsy is this right here that says in 20 plus baskets. 20 plus could mean 100, it could mean 1,000. They only show you 20 and then plus, unfortunately, but designs with this tag right here are usually doing really, really well. And if we scroll down further, you can also see that this specific item has had 387 results. And usually I would guess around 10% of people leave a review. Obviously that can vary, but if we take that as a guide, then this t-shirt has sold about 3,000 to 4,000 times. Scrolling down even further to the bottom of the page, another indication for sales volume or demand is the favorites. So at the bottom right here, it says nearly 2,000 favorites on this item. The higher the favorites, the more people obviously like this type of design and are interested in this sort of niche. Listed on, another good indication, because whenever a t-shirt sells on Etsy, it gets relisted. It is the 21st of March while recording this, so that means this design has sold just yesterday and obviously has quite a lot of demand going on. So once you've found a design that's doing really well and that is a bit of a sub niche to your main parent niche, in this case, bears and dad, then you would have to check the competition or the search results on Etsy. And the way to do that is type in the primary keyword. So for this one, it would be Papa Bear shirt. If we hit enter on that, we're going to get 6,000 results. That is too much in my opinion. You might be able to get some sales here if you pay for ads, but that is a very risky and difficult strategy to go down unless you have a lot of money to burn. So I would personally stay away from the Papa Bear niche in this case. But now that we found an animal themed shirt that's aimed at dads, we could type in at the top right here, instead of just dad shirt, we could put animal dad shirt. That is a first example of how to niche down. So we've gone from dad shirt to animal dad shirt, and we've reduced our search results from about 600,000 to 44,000. So once again, we're going to scroll through this right here and look for design ideas or sub niche ideas within the animal dad niche. Got, first of all, this one sticks out to me, a corgi design right here. So you could look at different dog breeds. A ton of these bear ones are selling, but we already know that is quite competitive. We've got a design that says Daddy Wolf, so that might be an idea to look at wolf designs that are cross-niched with dads. Husky dad, so dog breeds definitely have some high interest, it seems. Here we've got a chicken themed design, that's definitely pretty interesting. And on the next page there is another chicken themed dad design, so you kind of want to look for patterns. Obviously there's lots of different dog breeds that you could look into, but this chicken dad idea definitely seems interesting to me because it's not the sort of first thing that you would think of, because dogs are quite a lot more popular than chickens obviously. So let's have a look into this result right here. So this design doesn't have a best seller badge, but nevertheless this shop seems to be doing really well. If you look at the bottom, there is quite a few favorites here, and this was also recently listed. So let's have a look at Chicken Dad then. Chicken Dad shirt is giving us about 2,700 results. Oh, another tip I wanted to give you is oftentimes you see these shirts right here with a really cheap price, and you might be wondering how to compete with that. $12 for a t-shirt. So if you click on this, oftentimes it's just a clickbait sort of thing, where if you actually go to select a size, as you can see, these are all way more expensive than $12. That is just one option, the extra small option that you can get at that cheap price. So don't be confused or discouraged by that. Most of the time they're not really that cheap. It is just a bit of a clickbait. Now this design is interesting because it does say in 20 plus baskets. It's also had quite a few reviews, 24 right there, so could have sold a few hundred times, and it has got 164 favorites. So this has definitely got demand. And if we type chicken daddy shirt into the search mask up here, we get 1,600 results. So this is definitely a design idea that I would potentially look into and create myself. It has got relatively low competition, and there's definitely demand right here. And there's also evergreen potential for these shirts to sell all year round, which is quite important. But before we go ahead and create a design for the niche that we've found, we need to go ahead and actually check that phrase that we're going to use for trademarks, because if there is trademarked words or phrases in it, then we're not allowed to sell that specific design. And rather than going to the USPTO database, which is quite old-fashioned and really hard to look through, I like to go to TM Hunt. I'm going to leave a link to this in the description. It's a free trademark research tool. All you have to do is click on split search up here. Then we can type in chicken daddy. And if we hit search, the next thing you would do is change the status right here from all to live, and the type from all to text, because only the text designs are important here. Now we can see that daddy is live and it is not registered yet. So technically this is not fully live. It's still being examined. It was filed last year and it's still not gone through fully. So this could either become registered in the future or not. Now, you might think this is a bit of a turn-off and I wouldn't create this design now, but if we click on the serial number and actually open this up, it's going to bring us to the USPTO database. Here we can see some further details on this specific trademark. If we look into goods and services now, you can see that this is going to be trademarked for bikinis, briefs, underwear, blah, blah, blah. So loads and loads of stuff that we are not going to sell. We want to sell this on t-shirts, but not obviously on bikinis and underwear. So even if this becomes registered in the future, we can ignore this trademark because it doesn't apply to us. So the next step of a process is going to be creating a design, and I'm going to be using Midjourney and Photoshop for this, but you don't have to use Midjourney, you don't have to use Photoshop either. You can create designs in other apps like Kittle, Canva, Adobe Illustrator. You can also use pre-made graphics from sites like Creative Fabrica or Vexels. But since Midjourney is a very interesting option as well, I'm going to show you my process with that today. So here we are inside of Midjourney, and just to let you know, if you want to use the images that you generate right here commercially, then you need to have an active subscription. I think the cheapest plan with Midjourney at the moment is $10, which is enough for the commercial license. You can use free alternatives as well. For example, at the moment, Blue Willow is free. I'm pretty sure DALL-E is free, but with those, you might not get as good of a result as you do with Midjourney. So the prompt I'm going to be using for our chicken graphic today, and you can copy this as well if you want to, is /imagine t-shirt design graphic of a synthwave chicken. Synthwave is a very interesting style to play around with. It's a bit of an alternative to the very common vintage sunset style. Then we've got wearing sunglasses in front of a minimalistic sunset with a contour and dark background. So this is quite a good prompt to get a t-shirt design like graphic that is isolated and has like a plain background. That's what the contour and dark background helps with. And just another quick tip right here, at the end of this prompt, after background, you need to hit space, and then we want to add --no, and then another space and put mockup. And that's going to help us avoid Midjourney generating mockup images, because when it sees t-shirt design right here, it sometimes think, oh, there has to be a t-shirt in these images, which we don't really want. We want a plain graphic as the examples right here above. So that --no mockup usually solves that issue. And in case you don't have version 5 enabled, you would also have to add --v space 5 at the end of this, to use the currently newest version of Midjourney for these images. Once you're done, just hit enter. And just another quick tip, if you want to change or swap between the different versions of Midjourney, you can also enter /settings right here, hit enter, and then you can see them right here at the top. I've got version 5 selected by default, but you can also go back to older versions if you prefer that style. So whilst the prompt is generating, if you're inside this message box, you can press upwards arrow and bring the exact same prompt up again. You could literally just paste it in there again, so we get more options to choose from, because sometimes the results are not very usable, but other times you get some really, really nice results. So pasting it in there multiple times definitely helps. And you can also, by bringing this up, make some very small changes and get a nice different style as well. So instead of synthwave, for example, you could also put vintage. If you want a variation that is more of a vintage feel, you could also add vintage in front of the sunset, for example, hit enter. You could maybe do a variation where it's more American flag themed, and then you could create a design that says something like American Chicken Daddy instead. That way you have another cross niche right there. You've crossed patriotism with dads and chickens. So maybe we could add right here, instead of in front of a minimalistic vintage sunset, we could say minimalistic American flag. Once your images have been generated, you've got a few different options. So if you're not happy with any of the graphics that came back, you can click this button right here to rerun the entire prompt to get 4 completely new results. You can also click one of these U buttons right here, U1 to U4, to upscale the images that you like best. In this case, I did that with U4, which is the bottom right. It goes from top left to bottom right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And V, these buttons are for variations. So if you like one of these graphics quite a lot, but it's not 100% there for you, you want it slightly different, you can click V4 as well right here to generate new variations of that graphic. You are going to have to probably rerun your prompts quite a few times or create variations. It's very rare that the first result that you get back from your first prompt that you type in is going to be perfect or what you had in mind. So just stay patient and rerun the prompt multiple times, do some small changes if you have to, and you will get some nice results. But once you found the graphic that you're happy with, just click open in browser right here, and then you can right click on the image, go to save image as, and save it on your machine. So once you've downloaded your Midjourney image, you'll probably notice it is only about 1000 pixels wide and high, which is not really good enough for t-shirt design prints. And that's why we need to upscale the image quality on another website. Now, I'm going to use Replicate or Nightmare AI here as an example. This gives you some free upscales and then eventually asks you to pay. That's usually the case with a lot of these upscale websites. I did recently upload a video comparing various different options if you want to check out which one might suit you best. But in order to use this one, the link will be down in the description. You just have to scroll to this section right here, drag and drop your image into this box, and then you can select the scale. I usually use 6 for t-shirt designs, and then you can click submit, and you're going to get a way higher quality version on the right hand side after a few seconds. Now, sometimes you might get an error message here, and that is because the input image that you uploaded is already too big in size. I think the limit is somewhere around 1700 pixels, maybe 1800. But once this is done, you can hit download over here. It's going to open it up in full size, and then once again right click into this and save image as. So now, in order to remove the background from our graphic and also add some text to it, I'm going to be using Photoshop. There is a free alternative to this called Photopea, so you could follow along on there as well. For the dimensions, I'm going to be using 4500 pixels in width and 5400 pixels in height and a resolution of 300. The orientation is portrait mode right here, and then once you've selected all of those, just hit create. Now you need to drag and drop your graphic into Photoshop. Make sure to select the one with the higher resolution, and then in order to remove the background, you've got a few different options. So you could use the magic wand tool, which you can access by hitting W on your keyboard as well, but for a graphic like this, it's going to make it very hard. Even if you play around with the tolerance, no matter what you do here, it's always sort of going to select too much or too little. So for this sort of graphic, sometimes in your case it might help as well to actually select the graphic in the layers panel and then head up to select in the menu and click subject right here. And then Photoshop is going to do its best to select the main subject of your image, which obviously in our case is the chicken with the sunset. Besides the bottom right here, this actually looks really, really good. So now I would recommend heading to the layers panel and clicking on this little symbol right here to add a layer mask. And now if I hide my black background layer, you can see this has been cut out quite nicely. Now we just need to fix the bottom right here. And in order to do that, I'm going to drag out a ruler. And if you don't see these rulers at the top, you have to hit Control R on your keyboard and then just click on this and drag it down to the bottom, just to where it starts getting all wavy and messy. Please make sure to have your mask selected from the layers panel right here. Now we can use this rectangular marquee tool to draw a box. So just click on the ruler and start drawing out this rectangle right here to select all of this at the bottom, which we don't want. And then you have to make sure that the color in the background right here is black, so that we can hit Control and backspace on a keyboard to erase all of this. If you had this the other way around, if white was the color right here, then you would be painting in the mask and reveal everything. So I have to make sure that the colors are set up correctly here for this to work. But now if we get rid of the ruler, dragging it down quickly, you can see we've got this very neatly cut out from our background and ready to add some text. So to add text to your design, you need to hit T on your keyboard for the type tool. Just click on the empty space on your artboard, wherever you're going to put the text. In this case, I'm going to create my design optimized for dark t-shirts with a sort of black background. So the font needs to be white, ideally. I'm using a font called the Bold font, which is free for commercial use, by the way, if you want to use the same one as well. But it's quite nice to have a bit of contrast between the two fonts. I'm going to select Milkshake right here, which is also a very nice free font that you can use in your designs. And now you just need to play around a bit with the sizing and the arrangement to make sure that you can read all of the text quite clearly and to create a bit of a balance between the graphic and your text. And there we go. I think that looks quite good. Even if we zoom out, we can read the text quite clearly, which is important. What I usually like to add with these sorts of designs is a bit of a texture to make it more interesting. And to do that, we need to group all of these objects right here. So the graphic and the text just select all of that in the layers panel and hit Control G. Then you need to drag and drop your texture file into Photoshop. If you don't have a texture file, I do actually have a free textures bundle. If you want to check that out, that will be linked in the description. This one right here is from my exclusive member graphics for join members of the YouTube channel, but you can just use the free bundle as well if you want to. Once you've overlaid that onto your graphic, go over to the layers panel, hold down Control while you're over the thumbnail of the texture, just left click onto it. Then you can head up to select, click on inverse, and if we now select the group in our layers panel that we just created and add a layer mask right there, we can then hide the texture, and as you can see, when we hide the background, it has been cut out from our letters and graphic, which means that the t-shirt color will shine through this, which is a really nice effect. And if you're not happy with the placement of the texture once it's been applied, you can also unlink it right here in the layers panel, and then while having this mask selected, hit Control T on your keyboard, and then you can move around the texture file as you please, like this, which is also quite a handy trick to have up your sleeve. Once you're done with your design, just make sure to hide the background layer, and then you want to head up to File, Export, and click Export As. And in terms of the settings right here, you want to make sure to select PNG for the format, and the width should be set to your project settings, and you don't really have to worry about anything else. Just make sure to click Export right here at the bottom right and save it to your PC. So now that we've got our design ready, the next step is going to be uploading this design through Printify. And Printify is a really good option here because it's free to get started. Their website is really easy to use, and by using them, you get access to their global network of high quality print production partners. They also have some of the lowest prices in the print on demand space. So what's not to love? There will be a link in the description to create your Printify account, and you also need obviously an Etsy shop to connect to with Printify. So if you do not have an Etsy shop yet, it does cost 20 cents to list an item on Etsy, but if you open your shop through my Etsy referral link in the description, then you can get your first 40 listings for free. So once you've created your accounts, you need to log into Printify and connect your Etsy store. You can do that up here in the right corner by clicking Add a New Store, and then if you follow this link to connect to Etsy, it'll be very straightforward and easy to connect your shop. Once you're done with that, just head over to the catalog so you can start adding your first product. So we're going to go to men's t-shirts right here, and most of these are unisex, by the way, so if you want to sell to women and men at the same time, you can use most of these for that. Some popular options right here are the Gildan 5000, which is my personal favorite, and the Bella Canvas 3001 is also quite popular. And you've probably noticed right here that it says from $7.25, but then underneath in green from $5.80 with Printify Premium. Now you can sign up to a Printify Premium plan essentially, where you get up to 20% discount on your orders. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're just starting out, because you need about 15 to 20 orders per month for this to be worth it, but it's definitely a very good option to first of all offer cheaper pricing for customers, so it makes it easier to get sales, and you can obviously increase your profit margin that way as well. So once you've found the product you want to go with, just click on it right here, and then you need to select the print provider that you want to go with. Now you will see a lot of different details right here that will help you make your choice. First of all, we get a rating score, which is the performance over the last 4 weeks in quality, production speed, and stock reliability. It goes up to 10 points, so that definitely gives you a good indication in terms of who to go with. Obviously, the pricing is also quite important, so not all of these have the same price. Same goes for shipping. That can vary, and the average production time is quite important as well. If we scroll down here, I quite like to go with Swift POD. They are very reliable and they have very good pricing as well. So once you've found your production partner of choice, just click on Start Designing. And now you need to upload your design file. So just click on the right hand side on My Device, select your file from the computer, and it's going to upload it right here to your Printify library. Once your design has been uploaded, I would go ahead and select the colors for your t-shirt, because as you can see by default, it is white, which our design does not work well with. And instead of selecting your colors right here, I would recommend going to product variants, because you get some extra details such as the cost of the color, because it's not always the same depending on what color you choose, and the available print providers, because in some cases there might be a color like here, Coral Silk, that only has 3 print providers. So if they go out of stock for this color, then you can't offer this color for sale anymore, which is quite annoying, or you don't have an alternative production partner, or not many alternatives, to to get your orders fulfilled with. White is definitely the cheapest option, but it doesn't work for our design. We've got to optimize for dark colors. So black is the most important one. That is very cheap, and black is also one of the most popular colors for t-shirts. This one has 23 providers, so that's ideal. And some other colors I would recommend going for right here is navy, and we've got royal blue. That's another good option, as well as sport gray at the top right here. Once you've selected all of the ones you want, I would recommend not selecting too many, by the way, maybe 4 colors or less. Use that as a guide, because if you have too many options, then your customers might struggle to make a choice and not buy your product. So once you're done, just hit update right here. And now you've got this editor on the left-hand side to move your design around, to resize it if you want to. And over on the right-hand side, you've got these buttons right here to align the design. I would recommend using the align to top function, so it snaps to the top half of your t-shirt. Another quick trick is this right here, the resolution. So this design has got a 365 dpi, which is going to print very good. If you make this bigger, it's going to eventually turn yellow right there. As you can see, medium resolution, 164 dpi is not really ideal for a good print quality, so you want to make sure that that is always in the green. I would also just go ahead and quickly check all of the colors you've selected to make sure that the design is visible and works on all of these colors. Then once you're done with this stage, click on Save Product, and that is going to bring us to the final stage of uploading with Printify, where you select the mockups right here. I will go ahead and select one of these male mockups just because our design is aimed at men, and I will deselect the mockups with women in them because they're just not relevant. I will also deselect this Christmas one at the end, and scrolling down further, here we get the listing details. This is very important as well because it's going to help the customers on Etsy actually find a listing. We need to fill this out with relevant keywords that people might actually type into the search mask. You might wonder, how do I find such keywords? Well, you can look through Etsy bestsellers and find inspiration that way and see what works for the people, or we can use some tools. And I wanted to recommend a free website right here called Top Bubble Index. Now, this one runs with ads. You can't use an ad blocker. That's how they make their money, but it is really powerful considering it's a free tool. There is a link in the description to this. If you head up to the menu and go to Etsy Tag Generator, you can type in a primary keyword right here, and it's going to pull relevant keywords from other Etsy listings and let you copy them really quickly. So let's type in right here, chicken dad shirt, and hit search, and it usually brings up a captcha, so you have to solve that right here. And there we go, we get some relevant keywords. Some of these might not be necessarily important for us, for example chicken mum, but if you want to get rid of any of these, just click on the keyword itself and it's going to delete that, and then you can use the rest for inspiration for your listing and copy 13 because we're going to need them later on. So I've gone ahead and created a title and description for my listing right here with the help of those keywords from Top Bubble Index. I've also tried to use a lot of synonyms for the product type. So it says shirt right here at the start, then we've got t-shirt and tee, because not everyone is going to type it in the same way. We've got a lot of relevant keywords in here, such as chicken daddy, chicken dad, animal, farmer, chicken farmer, and that sort of stuff. Father's Day I added into the title as well because this t-shirt or design is definitely very relevant for Father's Day. The description is, this chicken daddy design is ideal for farmers who love chickens, animals and farming. Great chicken dad Father's Day, birthday or Christmas gift for men. So it is also a good practice to add in some extra occasions or holidays into this where this design might apply as a good gift. I've left in the default description right here that gives the customer extra information about the product, and if we scroll down further right here, you can leave the shipping profile at the default. I'm going to help you configure that in a little while here on Etsy. And now we come to the pricing. So here you would have to click select all, and then we can edit the price of all of our t-shirt colors and sizes in one go. I would recommend going for the edit profit tab right here and then change this to about $12. If we hit apply, as you can see, that brings up a lot of our prices to about $20. And you might think that is really expensive, but what we're going to do on Etsy typically is to offer a sale or a discount, and that way it will bring the price down under $20. And scrolling down further past this, I would tick hide in store right here, otherwise it's going to be published instantly and you will pay the listing fee without being able to double check the listing. And then we get the variant visibility. So here you have to make a bit of a decision, because by default it is not going to show the out of stock variants. That means if a certain color or size has gone out of stock, it will not be available for purchase. But if you want to select this option right here, then people can still buy all of your colors, and you can then look for a different print provider to fulfill the order for you. But if you want to have less hassle here, just leave it on the default. And the rest of this can stay the same, and then you just want to click on publish. And now it's going to upload all of these details onto Etsy and create our first listing. Now you want to head over to your Etsy shop and click into the listings section right here. And now if you click onto drafts, this is where you will find your new listing. It's not been published just yet to the Etsy marketplace. So there's a few things we need to go through right here. If we scroll down a little bit further where it says about this listing, you need to select another company or person made it. Then this can stay as a finished product and it is made to order. Scrolling down further, the next thing that you want to configure is the production partner. So in your case, if you've got a new Etsy shop, you probably won't have anything set up yet. So you have to click add new production partner down here, and you can copy the same settings that I've got here for Swift POD if you're using them. If you're not, then you would have to look for the details on Google or on Printify. So in this case, production partner name is Swift POD, a descriptive title, printing company, location is San Jose. About the partner, you can put anything you want into here, but it's just to help buyers understand what the partner does for you. So I put this printing partner helps me focus on what I do best, creating better designs for you. Looking at the last section right here about your partnership, what you want to select here is I don't have the technical ability or equipment to make the item entirely by myself. I design everything myself and they do everything for me, meaning they do the printing for me. And once you've selected all of this, you can hit update partner or save and then select it from your list down here. And now we move on to the tags. So you've got the option to add up to 13 tags right here to help you get found. And this is definitely quite important for SEO. So once again, I would recommend going to top bubble index and just copying 13 tags from there. So once you've pasted your tags into here, just click add or hit enter on your keyboard and that will paste them all into this box. The last thing we need to configure is our shipping profile. And I've already configured some settings right here that you can copy for Swift POD. If you're using a different production partner, you might want to check what they charge for shipping and also how long it takes for them to deliver your items. And then these prices might vary a bit or what you have to set here. So the origin zip code for Swift POD is 95112, country of origin United States, and the processing time I've put 1 to 5 days here because usually it's about 2 to 3 days with Swift POD. So you've got a bit of leeway right there in case there is a delay. In terms of the shipping charges for the United States, I've put 2 to 5 days delivery time and $1.99 per item. And this is something I'd recommend you do as well, is rather than charging the full price that Swift POD charges you of $4.75 or whatever it is, offer a cheaper pricing for the shipping, because most people don't want to spend $5 in shipping. Try and get this price down and increase the price of your t-shirt to make up for the loss in profit right here. Now you can also offer free shipping right here if you want to, but then it might be worth having the premium Printify plan to make that way easier because you'll get the cheaper production cost. Then I've got Australia and everywhere else configured. You can add more locations here at the bottom, and these are obviously quite long delivery times and higher prices because Swift POD is only located in the US. Now you can also enable order routing in your Printify dashboard under the store settings, and that way if an order is placed in say Europe, then they will automatically reroute the order to a European production partner or production firm, and then it will obviously be cheaper to ship and it will also be quicker. Now when you enable that, you don't have as much control over like the pricing and the quality. You have to then work with more production partners, so that is up to you whether you just want to have it like easy peasy as it is here, be mainly focused on the US, or if you want to have differing prices depending on where your order is placed, and therefore also get some shorter delivery times in different locations. Once you're done with configuring your profile, just hit save down here and then you can select it from your options. You can also make changes to this further down the line. So once you start getting some orders on Etsy, then it will all become a lot more clear as to how much profit you get left with and whether you can still lower your shipping prices or whether you have to increase them to actually make a profit. But once that's done, we can scroll down to the bottom and hit publish right here. You usually get an error at first, but if we double click this publish button, it tells us you need to pay 20 cents for each listing. Now if you used my link, you don't have to do that for the first 40 ones, and that is usually enough if you have a good niche and and good listings and designs, that's usually enough to start getting some sales. But after that, you will have to pay 20 cents per listing. So hit publish, and now that's going to move into the active tab right here, and you can click onto this cog symbol and view your item on Etsy. Now, the first bonus tip to help you get your first sales on Etsy is heading to the marketing tab within your Etsy store and then setting up a sale. And the reason you want to do this is because if you have an active sale, then within the search results on Etsy, you get a nice little highlighted tag saying that you've got 10% off. And if it's say 24 hours left on your sale, you also get an additional notice that warns the customer that your sale is nearly running out. So that adds some urgency to the buyer if they like your design to buy it at the discounted rate. Let's say we type in 10% discount right here, for example. We can leave all of these as they are, and then the sale duration, obviously here you would have to decide whether you just want to make it like a 2-day sale, so you get that timer right there that's running out very soon, or if you want to keep it running for a bit longer so you don't have to keep configuring your sale every other day. But once you've configured your time frame, all you have to do is configure a name at the bottom. I usually put the month and the year at the end, but you could also name this whatever you want really that relates somewhat to the sale, and hit continue and include all of your listings, or you can select specific ones if you don't want to offer all of them for sale, and then hit review and confirm and create the sale down here. You've got all of these different coupon codes that you can configure to bring customers back which either have already purchased an item from you or have added an item to their cart but didn't actually end up checking out, or what a lot of customers do in Etsy is they favorite items that they see in search results. That way, anyone who's favorited your item will get an email sent to them with an offer for a discount code. So if you set one of these up, all you have to configure down here is the percentage of discount that you want to offer, and obviously a name for the code. That's literally all you have to do, and then click create offer, and Etsy will start sending out emails on your behalf to turn some of those people into customers who've seen and liked your designs. Another very effective way to increase your conversion rate and to start getting your first sale if you're new to Etsy is to optimize your mockups. The reason why this is so important is because the mockups are the only sort of touch point the customer has with your product. Obviously, they want to imagine what it looks like once it's delivered, and the better your mockups look, the more likely they will want to purchase your design. There's a few options you have here to actually get premium mockups. You can look on Etsy itself and type in the product type. So in our case, Gildan 5000 mockups. I would also recommend looking for sizing charts, which are really handy to add to your listing, because oftentimes customers are wondering about the sizes, and rather than leaving them confused, if you add a sizing guide to your mockup images as well, then that's more likely going to turn potential customers into a sale. Now, in terms of the actual mockup images, I would recommend looking through Etsy bestsellers and look at what works best for other people. You will quickly find that there's sort of a common style that does really well on Etsy, and I will put up some examples on the screen of mockups that look really good for the Gildan 5000 as an example. And another thing to note here is that you want the design to be visible quite clearly and in quite a big size on your primary mockup, because when people are scrolling through the search results, if the design is really small and hard to read, then they're way less likely to click on your listing, and they will just scroll past it until they actually see a design that they can read properly. Besides looking on Etsy for mockups, you can also go to some other places such as Vexels, which has a really cool mockup generator, or Placeit, which is very popular as well and even integrates with Printify directly. And another bonus tip is to be kind and courteous to your customers, because if anyone has got problems with the delivery, or maybe they want to return an item because it didn't fit, want to exchange the size, even if you don't offer these things on the Etsy shop, try and still be helpful and kind to them, because most of the time it is way better to lose out on a few dollars to help a customer out in comparison to that customer leaving a negative review on your shop, which can really halt any sales in the future. So always bear that in mind. Good customer service is going to help you out way better in the long run and get you a lot more good reviews. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you still have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I will try and answer them when I can. And if you want to learn how to successfully enter evergreen niches, then make sure to check out this video next, where I show you 4 strategies to create designs for them.